Calf strength. It's disappearing faster than most seniors realize. And the first sign isn't weakness. It's that tight, heavy feeling the moment you stand up and try to walk across the room. You feel it in those first few steps. The stiffness, the heaviness, like your lower legs forgot how to move overnight. And you push through it because that's what you've always done. You walk it off. You stretch it out. You tell yourself it's just age. But here's what nobody told you. That tightness, that heavy, guarded feeling below the knee, is usually not a stretching problem. It's a strength problem, and most seniors are told the exact opposite. For decades, the standard advice has been simple. If your calves feel tight, walk more. Stretch harder. Push through it. However, and this is backed by research from the National Institute on Aging, the deeper issue for most adults over 60 is that the calf muscles have quietly lost force production. The ankle has lost range, and the calf's ability to act as a pump, pushing blood back up toward your heart, has declined. Stretching a weak muscle does not make it stronger. It just makes it temporarily longer. And then the tightness comes right back, because the weakness never left. The real enemy here is not your body. It's the outdated belief that lower leg decline after 60 is just aging, just dehydration, just something you fix by touching your toes more often. That belief has kept millions of seniors stuck in the same cycle. Tight calves, more stretching, still tight, more walking, still heavy, and no one ever stops to ask, what if the calf isn't tight because it's short? What if it's tight because it's weak? My name is Dr. David Collin, and I need to be clear with you about something before we go any further. Everything I share with you today is for educational purposes only. Always discuss changes with your own doctor. What I'm going to walk you through is not a prescription. It's a conversation. The kind of conversation I wish every senior had with someone who actually understands what's happening below the knee after 60. After 60, everything changes, and most people aren't told why. That's exactly why I make these videos. Because the information exists. The research is there, but it's buried in journals most people never see, behind language most people can't decode. And I believe you deserve to hear it in plain English, from someone who spent years reading it. If what I'm sharing with you today is useful, and I believe it will be, subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. I cover the things most seniors are never told, and that matters after 60. By the time I'm done today, you'll understand exactly why your calves feel the way they do, and you'll have 5 specific exercises, in the exact order that matters, to start rebuilding what's been quietly slipping away, including the one exercise most seniors start with too early. That mistake alone can keep the tightness cycle going for months. So let's start where the problem actually starts. Not in the muscle you can see, in the system you can't. Your calf isn't just a muscle that helps you walk. It's a pump, a literal pump. Every time your calf contracts, every time it squeezes, it pushes blood from your lower leg back up toward your heart. Vascular researchers have known this for decades. The Journal of Vascular Surgery has published extensively on what they call the calf muscle pump mechanism. When that pump is strong, blood moves. Fluid doesn't pool. Your legs feel light. When that pump gets weak, and it gets weak when you sit more, move less, and stop loading the calf with real effort, fluid starts to linger. The lower legs feel heavy, swollen by evening, tight by morning, and you blame aging. But it's not aging. It's underuse. It's a pump that's lost its squeeze. Think of it like a well pump on an old property. If you stop using it for a year, the mechanism doesn't vanish, but it seizes up. It loses pressure. The water doesn't flow the way it used to. Your calf works the same way. It doesn't disappear. It just stops doing its job efficiently. And when it stops pumping well, everything downstream suffers. Now here's where this gets personal. If you're someone who still walks every day, and good for you, truly, but your calves still feel tight, this is probably why. Walking on flat ground at a comfortable pace asks very little of the calf. It's maintenance. It's not rebuilding. A 2019 review in the Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy found that ankle plantarflexor strength, that's the force your calf produces when it pushes off the ground, is directly associated with gait speed and walking performance in older adults. Seniors with weaker calf push-off walked slower, took shorter steps, and reported more difficulty with everyday movement. Not because they were lazy, because the muscle wasn't being asked to work hard enough to stay strong. So the first thing I want you to understand is this. Walking is wonderful, but walking alone is not calf training. And if no one has ever shown you the difference, you've been managing your calves with the wrong tool for years. That's why the first exercise in this progression isn't what you'd expect. It's not a heel raise. It's not a stretch. It's seated ankle pumps. And I know, it looks almost too simple. That's exactly why most people skip it. And that's exactly why most people stay stuck. Seated ankle pumps are the wake-up call for a calf that's been sleeping. You sit in a sturdy chair, feet flat on the floor, and you slowly point your toes down, like pressing a gas pedal. Then pull them back up toward your shin. Down, up, slow, controlled. You're not bouncing. You're not rushing. You're telling the calf, I need you to start working again. This activates the calf muscle pump at the lowest level of demand. No balance challenge. No body weight. Just the muscle waking up, contracting, releasing, and remembering what it's supposed to do. For seniors who've been sitting 6, 8, 10 hours a day, this alone can start improving how the lower leg feels within the first week. And that leads directly into exercise 2, seated calf raises. Same chair, same position, but now instead of just pumping the ankle, you're pressing up onto the balls of your feet while staying seated. You're lifting your heels off the ground against the weight of your own lower legs. It's small, it's controlled, and it's the first real force your calf has been asked to produce in a long time. This is where the rebuilding begins. The National Institute on Aging has consistently recommended progressive resistance activities for adults over 65, and seated calf raises are one of the safest entry points. You're loading the muscle, you're building force, and you're doing it in a position where falling isn't a factor. Most seniors never connect this to that. Today you will. The seated work, the pumps, the raises, isn't just preparation. It's the foundation. Skip it, and everything that follows becomes a balance drill instead of a strength drill. And that's a mistake I see constantly. Here's what I mean. When a senior goes straight to standing heel raises without building seated strength first, the calf isn't ready to handle the load. So the body compensates. You grip with your toes. You lean on the counter. You rush through the motion. And the calf never actually gets stronger. It just gets tired. There's a difference. A big one. Which brings us to exercise 3. And this is where the real change begins to show up in your walking. Counter-supported standing heel raises. You stand behind a sturdy chair or next to a kitchen counter. Hands resting lightly, for balance, not for support. And you rise up onto the balls of your feet. Slowly. Hold at the top for 1 full second. Then lower back down with control. This is push-off strength. This is the exact movement your calf performs every single time you take a step. And when this gets stronger, your stride gets longer. Your walking feels lighter. That heavy, guarded feeling in your lower legs starts to fade because the muscle can finally do what walking is asking it to do. A systematic review published in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise, one of the most respected exercise science journals in the world, found that progressive resistance training targeting the lower limbs significantly improved functional mobility and walking performance in adults over 60. Not medication. Not surgery. Resistance training. Loading the muscle. Asking it to work. That's what rebuilds it. But here's where most programs stop. They give you heel raises and call it done. And that's a problem. Because calf strength without ankle mobility is like an engine without a steering wheel. You've got power, but you can't direct it. Exercise 4 is wall ankle rockers. And this is the piece that ties everything together. You stand facing a wall, one foot slightly in front of the other, hands on the wall for balance. And you slowly rock your front knee forward over your toes, keeping the heel flat on the ground. You're not bouncing. You're not forcing it. You're asking the ankle to move through its natural range while the calf stays long and loaded. Research in the Journal of Aging and Physical Activity has shown that reduced ankle dorsiflexion, that's the ability to pull your foot up toward your shin, is linked to shorter stride length, poorer balance, and increased fall risk in older adults. When the ankle can't move, the calf can't lengthen properly during walking. The stride shortens, the gait stiffens, and the brain starts to treat every step like a controlled fall instead of a confident push. Wall ankle rockers restore that motion, not by forcing flexibility, by combining mobility with the strength you've already been building. The calf is strong enough now to tolerate the range. The ankle is being asked to move through it. And together, they start to function the way walking actually needs them to. This is the progression most seniors are never shown. Activate, strengthen, load, mobilize. In that order. Not randomly. Not all at once. Step by step. Because the order is what makes it work. And if you're still with me, and I hope you are, I want to ask you something directly. Think about what you've been doing for your calves up until now. Be honest with yourself. Has it been working? Have the calves gotten less tight? Has walking gotten easier? Or have you been doing the same thing, stretching, walking, hoping, and getting the same result? That answer matters, because it tells you whether what you've been told is actually helping or whether it's been keeping you stuck. I want you to drop a letter in the comments right now. If you believe walking by itself is enough to rebuild calf strength, drop the letter A. If you believe your calves need direct exercise a few minutes a day, drop the letter B. I read every single comment personally. Let me know below. And now here's the part I've been building toward. Everything I've told you so far is real, and it matters. But there's something that changes all of it, something almost no one talks about. And once you understand it, you'll never look at calf tightness the same way again. The real issue, the thing hiding underneath all of this, is that walking tightness after 60 is usually not a flexibility problem. It's a calf pump and force production problem. Your calves don't feel tight because they're short. They feel tight because they're weak, underpowered, underused. And the body's response to a muscle that can't produce enough force is to lock it down, to guard it, to make it feel stiff, not because it needs stretching, but because it needs strength. This is the mechanism no one explains clearly enough. When a muscle is too weak to handle the demands being placed on it, the nervous system tightens it protectively. It's not a flexibility deficit. It's a strength deficit dressed up as stiffness. And every time you stretch it without strengthening it first, you temporarily override that protection, and then it comes right back. Because the weakness is still there. The signal hasn't changed. Harvard Medical School has published guidance for older adults emphasizing that muscle strengthening, not just stretching, is essential for maintaining mobility and reducing the sensation of stiffness in aging joints and muscles. The research is not ambiguous. Strength comes first. Flexibility follows. I'm telling you this because nobody else in this space will. Most of what you see online about calf tightness is the same recycled advice. Stretch more, foam roll, do yoga. And those things aren't harmful, but they're incomplete. They address the symptom. They ignore the cause. And the cause, after 60, is almost always a calf that has lost the strength to do its job. This is not age. This is something your body is doing, and we can fix it. And that brings us to exercise 5, the one that goes deepest, the one that most seniors have never been shown. Slow supported heel lowering. Some people call this an eccentric calf exercise. I call it the control builder. Here's how it works. You stand behind your chair or counter, just like the standing heel raises. You rise up onto the balls of your feet, but instead of pushing up and coming right back down, you lower yourself as slowly as you can. 3 seconds. 4 seconds. 5 if you can manage it. Down. Controlled. Feeling every inch of it. This is the part of the motion that teaches the calf to absorb force, not just produce it. When you walk, your calf doesn't just push off. It also controls the landing. It decelerates the foot. It manages the load of your body coming down onto the ground with every single step. If that control isn't there, the gait gets choppy, the steps get cautious, and the legs feel heavy because the muscle is working harder than it should just to keep you stable. A peer-reviewed review in the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle, one of the leading journals on age-related muscle loss, found that eccentric training, specifically, can improve muscle strength and functional capacity in older adults, even in those already experiencing significant sarcopenia. That's the clinical term for age-related muscle loss. The slow lowering doesn't just build strength. It builds the kind of strength that transfers directly to walking, stepping down curbs, navigating stairs, and moving through daily life with less effort. And here's the warning I need to give you before we go further. This is for educational purposes only. Always discuss changes with your own doctor. And I mean that especially here. If you're experiencing sudden one-sided calf swelling, warmth, redness, or severe pain, stop. Do not push through those symptoms. Those are red flags that need medical evaluation first. The Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic both list those as signs that require immediate clinical attention. This exercise progression is for the slow, chronic tightness and weakness that builds over months and years of underuse. It is not for acute symptoms. Know the difference. It matters. Now, you've heard all 5. You understand the mechanism. You understand why order matters. Let me put it all together for you. Clearly, simply, So you can walk away from this conversation knowing exactly what to do. Exercise 1. Seated ankle pumps. This is where you start. Every time, it wakes up the lower leg. It gets blood moving. It tells the calf muscle pump to start working again. Slow, controlled, 10 to 15 repetitions. Both legs. You can do this watching television. You can do this at the kitchen table. The point is you do it first. Exercise 2. Seated calf raises. Same chair. Press up onto the balls of your feet. Hold briefly at the top. Lower with control. This builds the baseline force your calf needs before you ever stand on it for strength work. 10 to 15 repetitions. No rushing. No bouncing. Exercise 3. Counter-supported standing heel raises. This is your push-off builder. Stand tall. Rise slowly. Hold at the top. Lower with control. Light hand support only. Don't pull yourself up with your arms. The calf does the work. 8 to 12 repetitions to start. Build from there as it gets easier. Exercise 4. Wall ankle rockers. This restores the ankle motion that walking demands. 1 foot forward, hands on the wall, knee glides forward over the toes with the heel staying flat. Slow, controlled, 8 to 10 per side. You should feel a deep but comfortable stretch through the calf and ankle. Not pain, not pinching, a working stretch. Exercise 5. Slow supported heel lowering. Rise up on both feet, then lower as slowly as you can. 3 to 5 seconds on the way down. This is the control move. The one that teaches the calf to manage force, not just produce it. 6 to 8 repetitions. If it feels too challenging at first, lower on both feet together instead of one at a time. Build into it. Progression, not perfection. So to be clear, seated pumps wake it up. Seated raises build initial force. Standing raises build push-off strength. Ankle rockers restore motion. Slow lowering builds control. That's the system, in that order. And when you follow that order, you're not just exercising your calves. You're rebuilding the entire lower leg system that makes walking feel the way it's supposed to feel. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services physical activity guidelines recommend that adults 65 and older include muscle strengthening activities at least 2 days per week. This progression fits inside that framework. It doesn't require a gym. It doesn't require equipment. It requires a chair, a wall, and the willingness to do something most seniors are never shown. Your doctor never told you this, but I will. After 60, walking without tightness depends less on stretching more, and more on rebuilding the calf system that pushes, pumps, and protects every step. That's what today was about. That's what these 5 exercises are for. And that's why the order is not optional. Most seniors never get this far. They manage one piece of the puzzle. They stretch, or they walk, but they miss the calf pump, the force production, the eccentric control, and that gap is exactly what keeps the problem returning. You're not most seniors. You stayed, you listened, and now you know. Before I let you go, there's one more thing, and this might be the most important part of everything I've said today. If you only chase flexibility and never rebuild calf force, you keep the same walking problem inside a softer feeling muscle. The tightness fades for an hour, maybe 2, then it's back, because the muscle still can't do what you're asking it to do. Stretching without strength is a temporary fix for a permanent problem. Strength is the permanent fix. But now that you know how to rebuild calf strength, there's another change after 60 that quietly shuts down your stride even when the calf gets stronger. And it starts at the ankle and foot. If your foot can't grip the ground properly, if the small muscles in your arch have gone dormant, all the calf strength in the world won't give you the balance and push-off you need. And most seniors are losing foot strength right now without knowing it. I cover exactly that in the next video. Watch it now.